You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. And it is a War Rapport Wednesday with C-Dub and Mike G of the War Rapport. I'm repping y'all swag today. How we doing?
Amazing. Listen. Amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Why so amazing, Mike G?
Well, first of all, I ate exactly 10 pounds of mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. So I got my fill this holiday season. Had a good time at home back in Alabama. My parents, I went to my first Iron Bowl in about 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it was so much time. You got extra Iron Bowl. It's almost like you got an Iron Bowl and a half to make up for that lost time.
Yeah, it was an interesting watch from the press box this year, but I got a chance to meet some awesome people this past weekend at the Iron Bowl. I met a lot of players' parents. It was a good time being there with friends and family.
Cool. All right, gentlemen, let's jump into the news of the day. As of this recording, I just got a feeling somebody else is going to do it as soon as we're done. But as of this recording, 5 Auburn Tigers from last season have entered the transfer portal. The first 3 kind of all came at once, with Caleb Johnson, the defensive end / edge player, Elijah Canion, the wide receiver, and Shaun Shivers, of course, the all-purpose back that we have known to love here on the show and throughout the Auburn fan base. Later in the day, Taishan Manning made his announcement, the offensive guard, and then most recently, defensive back Ladarius Tennison. C-Dub, what are your thoughts about this list of 5 guys that are out?
Not really surprised. I know when I look at Caleb Johnson, that makes sense. When you look at what's in front of him, what's behind him coming, you got Dylan Brooks who's coming. You have a few other recruits this year, guys who are committed who's coming in. Auburn is actually in the hunt for a couple of guys who we're battling Bama for. So that room is getting pretty intense. And so It makes sense for a person like Caleb Johnson. Shivers was just the victim of a bad injury at the wrong time. And it gave way for Hunter to come in and actually take advantage of those reps. And Shivers never was able to get those reps back. So even down the course of the stretch of the season, we were using Shivers in pass protection or coming out of the backfield, and it seems like he got a little less burn as well in terms of passes thrown his way. So not a lot of opportunities for Shivers, and I'm pretty sure a guy like him believes in himself and wants to prove that, at least gets an opportunity to show what he can do. And I'm not quite sure moving forward he gets that at Auburn, so that makes sense. Tennison is a bit of a surprise. We were kind of hard pressed to see who from the defensive side. We already mentioned Caleb Johnson, but I was a little surprised at that. In a sense, that we saw flashes of him when Kevin Steele was here. Not so much the case once Mason got here. Of course, changing up the scheme kind of put guys in a bit of flux in terms of how they fit with what Mason likes to do.
I think Mason originally saw him as a safety. I mean, he was starting at safety next to Smoke Monday in spring of last year. And then after spring,
the portal giveth, the portal taketh away. I mean, Darius Knighton came in, and that was who they were raving about. Yeah, you're right. I thought he was slated to be starting opposite of Smoke, but then Kaufman comes in, Knighton comes in, and that's all we were hearing about. And we didn't really start seeing Tennison until Knighton got injured. I think in the Mississippi State game, we started seeing a good bit of Tennison, and he played well. And so, especially in special teams, but I think
his game was the A&M game. He played really well against A&M.
Yeah. So I was a little surprised at that, but he wasn't getting a lot of burn. Of course, there's Canion, which, I mean, shocker. I saw that one pretty much coming, and I think Manning didn't get a lot of burn along the line. So these aren't surprising. Tennison may be a little bit surprising because you would think he would have an opportunity next year with Smoke, Knighton, and a few other guys leaving in the secondary. So I would expect he would have stayed around for that. But if he doesn't feel like he's a fit in Mason's scheme, then you move on to greener pastures.
Mike G, my response to all of this is The one that hurts the most is Shivers leaving, at least emotionally. But as far as on the field production, the one that hurts the most probably is Tennison, because I think all the other guys so far, like, okay, there's not a clear path to, a big jump in production from 2021 to 2022. Tennison, I can make the argument that it's like, okay, Tennison may have been competing for a starting job next season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can argue that there's not a lot of experience leaving in this group of 5. Right. Like, now I know Shivers had some experience, but in terms of the amount of carries he was getting this year, I'm not sure how much that hurts from a production standpoint. But I'll tell you from an emotional standpoint, like you said, Zach, Shivers hurts.
Yeah.
However, this is definitely the best thing for him. Like, there's zero reason for him to stay here another year and sit behind, Hunter and Tank.
Yeah.
So leaving is the best decision. And with the advent of the portal, what we're going to see more of this. Guys have no reason to just sit at a school and let their dream of possibly playing pro waste away because they can't get any tape to show NFL scouts. Go somewhere where you can play. Now, I'll tell you what, I think Shivers should go play for Gus. You got 1 year left, man. Go play somewhere where they're going to put you on the field.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And
we saw Shivers be this massive leader, during the pandemic and when they didn't know if they were going to play football or not. I mean, all these guys that left this past season to go to the draft or whatever, they came on the show and I always asked, like, who led y'all through this? And they all were like Shaun Shivers. I mean, he'd get up in front of the locker room and talk everybody through all of this.
Right. I mean,
the stories kind of went away in the Harsin regime. So I think the Gus thing makes I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, just go play somewhere where you're going to play. You got 1 year left to make an impact, young man. Go out there, do what you can, get on the field. He was a great teammate. He was a great Auburn Tiger. He was a leader in the weight room this offseason as well, too.
And he's fun to watch. I mean, my goodness, when he has a ball in his hand, he's fearless. He's got speed. He's not afraid of contact. I mean, I just hope for the best for him, man.
Yeah, just give him a chance. Elijah Canion. The writing was on the wall for this transfer for a while. One of your top 3 most talented receivers in your room, not on the field. There was definitely something else going on there, but I wish this young man well too. So if Auburn is not the place for you, if he wasn't a good culture fit here for what there's no new coaches trying to do, go someplace, get on the field. We're going to see more of this. I see a lot of fans, Zach, freaking out about, all the players are leaving. I'm like, every school is going to go through this. Every school.
Yeah, for the folks freaking out, they do not listen to the War Rapport and they do not listen to Locked On Auburn, because we've been talking about this for weeks. I mean, with the new transfer rule and how if you have at least 7 guys leave and transfer out, you're able to get those scholarships back. And so that means, because the NCAA ran into this issue a year ago where all these guys transferred and they ran out of spots because they were competing for these spots with all these high school kids coming in as well.
Right.
And they don't want that. It's a terrible look. I mean, we're all about player empowerment. It's like, well, there's no more space for you guys. So it's a great rule, but you're going to see probably every school, at least every competitive school, have at least 7 guys leave.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the system needs to create opportunities for kids and stop taking it away.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. Right. And they're trying to.
Right. So, this may not stop at 7. But for every kid who makes a decision to leave Auburn, I hope that kid finds some success somewhere in a system that fits them, that accentuates their strengths and gets them to work on their weaknesses, and then gives them ultimately just a chance to make it to the next level, because that's the ultimate dream. And how many kids have we seen just not get the chance because some coach just didn't see their potential, or they were just in a talented room that was just too crowded for them to get on the field.
Right. You're absolutely right.
And you see that with school, again, to your point, you see that with schools that have been recruiting very well. You're going to get kids who already came into that program believing in themselves. And what I like about this transfer portal is that it creates the opportunity for everyone to win. Your school finds the perfect fit in terms of guys who fit their culture. Those players leave to find a school that fits them and their talents and allows them to excel. It's a win-win for everyone. You hate to see guys go, but you hope that they win wherever they land.
Yeah, and last point on this, right? Sure. It also evens the talent playing field across the landscape, right? So if you miss in recruiting 1 year, the next year you may be able to get a portal guy who is looking to play. He's over the allure of the Bama or the USC or some of these traditional powerhouses. He's got to get on the field, and it allows the little guys to catch up sometimes to the big boys in recruiting. The portal has, I don't know if recruiting rankings have ever been less relevant than they are right now.
Right.
Because of the portal. If you can do work in the portal, there's no way to accurately rate, I think, recruiting kids from the portal, transfers from the portal. But man, it's really going to create some parity in college football.
Look at Michigan State. I mean, that's a prime example of a school that rated the portal, and they were in the playoff discussion at one point this season. So it definitely is an equalizer.
There's no question about it. It's a War Rapport Wednesday. Hey, today's show brought to you by our friends at Fetch Me Home Delivery. I was in Ohio last week, and I literally, funny story, my wife went to Panera, and she's like, she didn't ask if she wanted anything. She just brought back her food. And so I had to order food. And normally I would just take my phone out and then go with Fetch Me Delivery. And I even opened the app, and I'm like, oh, of course, they're not in Ohio. So I used another one, and they actually got lost. The people had to call me because they got lost, and it took forever. Fetch Me Delivery, that does not happen because they're local folks, and they do everything they can to take care of you and everything that you are ordering. So go to fetchmedelivery.com or download their free Fetch Me app in your phone's app store. And whenever you place an order, use promo code LOCALMEAL to get some of that price knocked off, courtesy of Fetch Me and Locked On Auburn. Fetchmedelivery.com or their free Fetch Me app. Also, today's show brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. It's so easy to win. We talked about this yesterday on the show, but the way it is set up for you to win. And so be sure to check it out. They've got all kinds of props. If you feel like somebody's going to go off tonight in the NBA or college basketball, or when bowl season rolls around, just go all in. Go all in with Prize Picks. Or if you think somebody's going to stumble, you can take the under a lot of their stuff. So be sure to check that out. PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Locked On when you make that first deposit, and you will get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com today. Use promo code Locked On. C-Dub, Mike G. All right, so we kind of talked about this with Shivers. I don't think losing Taishan Manning really hurts you. There is some experience there, but I think they're just going to tear down the offensive line and build it back a different way. So I think that's just kind of what they want to do. So I don't think that one hurts you a whole lot. Caleb Johnson was a depth piece, like we said, but Ladarius Tennison is super interesting to me because I kind of would have penciled him in after the bowl game. I would have penciled him in going into 2022 as the starting safety back there, whether you move Donovan Kaufman from nickel to safety, or you put, you keep Donovan at nickel and you put Zion Puckett and Ladarius Tennison there. So I think, to me, and the defensive back situation is going to look totally different with McCreary leaving as well. And so Ro Torrance probably fits in here at some point, but I think Harsin and Mason are going to have to go get more defensive backs.
Yeah, or I'm just curious to see what they've done with some of the kids that were already on campus, because we did recruit some pretty good safeties out of high school years past. So I'm curious to see how their development is going. But yes, to your point, they may have to, because I like Tennison at safety. I think he's much more physical than Kaufman is, and I think Kaufman has played better closer to the line of scrimmage. So to see him go it definitely creates a potential void there. We know Knighton is not coming back, so I'm curious to see how they address that position opposite of Puckett.
Yeah, listen, development has to be a thing again, right? You got to be able, you go out when you get guys in the portal, but develop the kids that you have, right? Because I know I said just a second ago that recruiting rankings are less important, but getting kids you can develop out of high school are still important, and showing upcoming recruits that if they choose you, you know what to do with their talent, and creating a pipeline of talent where you are producing NFL safeties, all SEC defensive backs. Roger McCreary should help recruiting quite a bit this year. Pro Football Focus has him actually ranked as the best corner that's ever played. Right. So
he had an incredible season.
Oh my goodness. This guy is going to go to the league, and we've been kind of defensive back you here it feels like for the last 10 years. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, we've had a good corner for like the last decade and a half, it seems like. And I think Roe Torrance is going to be the next guy. And I think Dylan Simpson's going to take a big step too, assuming he's back. So
we've had a shutdown corner.
Right.
Almost every single year. So go out, find the next guy. What Auburn is trying to do now is be next to man up. Mm-hmm. So, in some ways, Tennison does hurt. He flashed some great potential this year, but at the end of the day, you just got to reload, man. I know Harsin, Zach, I got a chance to talk with Harsin right after the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
And he was very gracious in taking about, 10 to 15 minutes to talk to me. But he, one of the things he said in our conversation was, he said, Mike, I'm building culture. Right. And we have just laid the first brick. And, he looked me dead in my eye and said, I'm the guy. All right. And I was like, listen, let's ride, coach. Let's do it. Let's get our weight up. So it's going to come back. It's going to come back to developing the guys you have. Go out and get a couple more pieces. This team was really close to something special this season. I know the 6-6 record feels bad, but in retrospect, we competed in almost every single game, no matter how good or bad the loss was. Right. So if you can maintain the momentum that you built this year and then get a little over the hump, it could be a 9 or 10 win season next season.
Yeah.
So you just got to fill in some key pieces, and we're going to get to the next part of that puzzle here in a second. But you got to fill in key pieces, man, and just keep it moving. It's the SEC. I don't know if coaching, Zach, has ever been as strong as it is in the SEC West. First of all,
no way.
All 7 teams from the SEC West made a bowl game this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All 7 teams, and 6 teams from the other side of the conference. Poor Vandy is the only school that didn't.
That counts, right? That counts as every school in the East, right?
That's a Vandy point that I want to talk about in a second. But coaching right now is at an all-time high in the conference.
My God! Listen, Mike Leach, now Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Brian Harsin, Jimbo Fisher. Good God. Like, this is tough, man. This is really tough. And then, you got Kirby Smart on the other side of the conference. You got Josh Heupel making waves at Tennessee.
And what they're doing in Arkansas, I think, is impressive.
Yes. Sam Pittman.
Sure. Yeah, Sam Pittman is doing work.
He's become one of my favorite coaches to follow just because I like his style. So, I mean, it's a time. It's a time. And, I think Auburn's got a good dude in Brian Harsin to get us there. It's just going to, like you said, it's just going to take time. Hey, you mentioned Vanderbilt. They've has got a safety, Brendon Harris, former 4-star. He was committed to Tennessee. He flipped, part of Vandy's 2018 signing class. But, as soon as Donovan Kaufman entered the transfer portal, everyone's like, oh, Derek Mason's going to go get him. Kind of think we're going to feel a similar thing about this. And I think it'd be a good fit as well. I mean, experience. He's got more experience playing than Kaufman did at the time where Auburn went and got him. But clearly a talented guy. So I think that's a name to watch. Brendon Harris is his name.
Yeah.
I saw that name. And it makes sense considering who his head coach was when he signed with Vandy. So I would definitely keep an eye on him.
Well, and they made him flip too. So he liked what they were selling to, leave Tennessee and go to Vandy. So I think that's something to definitely follow. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. We'll talk about it more later. I just want to kind of see, I'm just so afraid. We recorded a show yesterday and then we got done. And then, the Bobo news came out. So I just got a feeling Owen's going to announce something soon. And let's don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the linebackers as a whole. Let's just talk about Zakoby. Zakoby announced that he's going to go to the NFL. Yeah. Not much of a shocker, but, wish him nothing but the best. His stats from a tackling standpoint are absolutely incredible.
Zakoby, you don't have to play. Listen, you've given Auburn everything. You've given Auburn more than what we could have ever expected from you. We appreciate what you've done. I hate he fell a little short of 100 tackles. We did a facts or not on our last one that we did, and we all felt like he was going to do it. He needed 12 tackles in the Iron Bowl. I think he got like 5. So he fell short. He fell a little short. of getting 100 tackles for 2 years in a row, which was just nuts, Zach. It's just
he had
insane.
113 in 10 games. So it's like,
so he still kind of got it. He still got 200 tackles over the past 2 years. So, but he's given Auburn his all. Listen, man, thank you for what you've done. Go make us proud at the next level.
Well said. Absolutely. It's a War Rapport Wednesday. Today's show brought to you by our friends at BetOnline, betonline.ag, the fastest and easiest way to place all of your sports bets. It's the fastest place in the entire internet, the entire world. Use promo code Locked On when you make an account. Making an account is free, but then you got to, when you make that deposit, use promo code Locked On to get a 50% welcome bonus on that first deposit. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and USC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, where the game starts. Also, hey, this holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors. It's a great stocking stuffer as well, or you can just put it under the tree. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. Built.com. Guys, what are folks missing out at the War Rapport if they're not subscribed and checking y'all out?
It's almost what it is, basketball season.
Yes, it's here.
So we are covering basketball. We're working hard over at the War Rapport, Zach. The postseason film reviews are going to the next level. Now, due to some changes, we'll be talking about those in a different light.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best this offseason to kind of educate fans on what we saw, break down the film so we can all agree on what we're looking at, and then know what to expect moving forward. So we have a thing called a War Rapport Insider. It's a great community of people that have chosen to just join the conversation in a positive way and help us do things. As our insiders coming together to do things for the community as well. So you can join over at the War Rapport on YouTube. Check us out on all the social media platforms and podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. The War Rapport. It's I'm an insider. It's worth every penny. Highly recommend you do. If you like the content we do here, you'll really like what they do over there. All right, let's jump into the news that broke earlier this week. Mike Bobo will not be returning as Auburn's offensive coordinator. Your general thoughts on that moving forward, and then kind of what do you want to see from the next guy?
Zach, Mike G and I, we have acquaintances and friends who are family of coaches, like they're related to coaches. And so hearing their experiences gave us a whole different perspective in terms of what the families go through when a coach gets fired. And so once you get that understanding, Zach, I'm very slow to yell fire this coach just because they had a bad game or two. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not quick to get on that bandwagon because there's a lot of people connected to that coach that we want to see gone, whose lives get disrupted. So that part of the humanity part of it, I feel for Bobo, and it's easy to not feel for him, especially when you see what his contract is for the next 2 years, but they're still human beings. And so that part of it just makes it, you hate that part of it. But when you consider what Auburn's offense has done since Arkansas, especially in the second half of games, Auburn ended up scoring a total of 15 points in the second half to close out the season. Only scored 1 touchdown in those games in the second half. And when you look at how close Auburn was to building something special, and then you look at how we finished the season, and you look at what Harsin is trying to build here, Harsin cannot afford to go another 6-6. Harsin can't afford to have another meltdown like that. So when you look at it from that standpoint, Harsin had to do this. This makes a lot of sense for Harsin. It just highlights to me just how serious he is and how committed he is, because this is his shot. This is what he left the comfort of Boise to do, to prove that he can win in the toughest division, in the toughest conference in all of college football. This is his shot. And so what he's not going to do is allow Bobo or any other assistant to stand in the way of him proving himself. He wants to win, and him making a decision as decisive as he has proves just that.
Sure. Absolutely. Mike G, as far as what you want to see from the next offensive coordinator, what are some things you think Auburn fans should be looking for?
Oh, man, listen, it's tough, Zach, because we heard a lot about this multiple offense that Harsin was supposed to bring in with them. And when you have an offensive head coach, the offensive side of the football should take on the identity of that coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure that happened this year. So what I want to see is I want to see our offense take on that identity. If we have an offensive head coach, the offensive side of the ball should never be the problem. Right. That's just my logic. I'm not sure it passes the smell test. I'm not giving you a bunch of reasons why. I'm just saying, hey, we got a guy.
I just feel like I said that for 8 years, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. Like we should be good on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
You go out and you get a guy who you can give full autonomy on defense, but on offense, you keep one hand on the wheel with whoever it is that you hire. Now, play calling, I think, has to improve. And early in the season, I was down on play calling, and then B. Will talked me off that ledge and said, no, man, it's just execution. And then essentially they haven't made a statement on it. You got fired for play calling based on what we saw in the Iron Bowl, right? There were some questionable calls, questionable decisions made. The head coach bears it all, but he also is, you got coordinators for a reason. And if you let them do the job, they have to do the job. So I want to see somebody come in and execute Harsin's vision of the offense. And if I'm Harsin, listen, man, if I'm going down, I'm going to go down doing it my way, not somebody else's way. Right. So, I want to see this multiple offense when it's good and it's going, it's really, really good. So, get your guys in. 2022 may not be our year. We've got to improve. We can't go 6-6 again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But we need to improve.
It's a tough slate too.
Yeah, listen, it's always going to be a tough slate, right?
Always.
But you want the 2 toughest games at home.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
True. So, I from the next coordinator, I just want to see if you're turning over the keys, to the ship to somebody, that coordinator needs to be an established coordinator with a good reputation and a proven system. If you're hiring an up-and-comer, I'm fine with it because we have an offensive head coach. I just want to see him be more involved offensively in the system. And I don't know that he wasn't. It's just I'm speculating and saying it just didn't. I'm not sure this was his vision of offense. So it's going to be interesting to see here. I think that because of the way we ended the season, Harsin's seat got hot going into 2022. Right. And it sounds weird to say that a coach is on the hot seat in year 2, but 4 straight losses to end the season just makes anybody's seat hot.
Yeah.
So he's got to improve. He's definitely got to improve this. You start by either getting a coordinator that just can take it and run, or bring somebody in who's executing what you want them to do, and you're heavily involved in the decision making and how things are planned. I would like to know, man. We went through this with Gus, Zach, but there was the whole thing. I'm calling plays. I'm not calling plays. I'm calling plays. I just wonder if Brian Harsin is the type of coach that will come in and call plays if necessary. Right? Is that something he considers this offseason?
I don't think it is, but it will be fun to see, because that's going to be the first question he's asked once he gets in front of media after he hires somebody, is who's calling plays.
Who's calling plays?
Yeah.
And he was pretty forthcoming with Bobo being the play caller. I bet it's that way for whoever he's his key Sal, which I think that's who it's going to be.
He's never set a precedent for that, which I would so if he was to do that or want to take part in play calling, it would be a first. I would be surprised because he hasn't done it before. Make no mistake, Zach, this, in my personal opinion, is Brian Harsin's most important hire he's ever made in his career. This is the one. Because of where he currently stands, how he finished his first year, and what he's trying to build moving forward. You can't fire your second coordinator a year from now because he doesn't get it, right? You got to get a guy who understands what you're trying to do. And I know a lot of fans want to see a sexy name. Listen, there's nothing sexier than an offensive coordinator that knows how to score in the first and second half of games.
Ooh.
Whoever Brian Harsin gets, that's who I want. I want a guy who knows how to do that.
Facts, man. Coming down the stretch, dude. The guy with the big brass ones that knows how to just deliver the call to win the game. Right. We've seen it done to us all year.
Right.
Now we got to go out and get that guy.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time as always. If folks want to check out what's going on at the War Rapport, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh man, head over to the YouTubes, type in the War Rapport. You'll see a bunch of our stuff. You'll see some Locked On stuff as well too, because YouTube likes to group us all together. You know, all the greats. They put all the greats together.
That's it.
And become an insider. You know, check out our content. We're going to be live. We're putting out 7 content pieces a week now, so we got plenty of content. War Rapport Wednesdays over at Locked On. We're everywhere, man. You guys know how to find us.
And also, if you're on a treadmill or in the car, you can find us on podcasts wherever they're streamed as well. So definitely head over there.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow right here on Locked On Auburn.